So I don't know, we could go back to 2003 when I started jiu-jitsu, right? But I had wrestled for 4 years before that also. I never really even wanted to do wrestling. I was a runner. I was kind of a small kid, and I did track and cross country, and it was my track coach that insisted that I try wrestling for 1 week. And I went and I tried wrestling for 1 week and fell in love after one class, you know, and I was a terrible wrestler the first year. They put me on the varsity squad, and I was only 14, I was a freshman, and I got destroyed the whole year. I lost every match. And I came back. I understood the situation. I was 14 wrestling against 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds. And then when I got through that first year, the next year was actually much better. I improved significantly. And I loved grappling. I just loved wrestling so much. I didn't want to do anything else. It literally took over my life for 4 years. And every year I got better and better and better. By the end of my high school career, I was a really good wrestler. Probably top 10 in California in the year 2000. And then I graduated high school. I went to a university that didn't have a wrestling team. And I didn't find jiu-jitsu until I was 21. It's my third year at university. And it was just a freak accident that I was outside washing my car. It was a nice day. I was trying to enjoy the nice weather. And some kid drove past my house that I used to wrestle with. And I hadn't seen him in 3 years. And we just caught each other, like right when he drove past the house. I looked and he looked and we saw each other for a split second. He drove past me, he stopped, he backed up, we started talking. And he was like, hey, I'm gonna go check out this jiu-jitsu place tomorrow. And of course I had no idea what jiu-jitsu was. I started making my karate chop hand motions. And he's like, no, it's like cage fighting, UFC. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. So I went and bought a pair of wrestling shoes that night. And then we went the next day and I brought my wrestling shoes in and the guy looked at my wrestling shoes and was like, don't bring those on my mat. And we did a class. I remember I learned a closed guard triangle and I thought it was just the most ninja shit I'd ever done. Like how to choke someone with my legs off my back. And you know, as a wrestler, you don't like to be on your back, you like to be on top. And to choke someone out from my back was just such a cool thing. And I signed up right then, 1 year. I paid 1 year membership up front. Like it's like $1,000, I think. And my friend did the same. He paid for 1 year also. And then we started training, and I trained twice a day, every day. I was hooked. And he ended up quitting after 2 months, and I never saw him again. And I don't even remember his name. I think it was Brandon. I'm not sure. But I've always wondered what happened to him, you know, because he took me off this path and he put me on a new path, and then he disappeared. And he changed my life, you know? And yeah, I don't know. I guess I always thought about like talking to him again and just saying thanks, you know? I think he joined the military. I don't know what happened to him, but I always think about him, you know? And I always think about this random person who, and I wasn't even friends with him in high school. We just were on the same, he was a freshman, I was a senior. We're on the same wrestling team. And I don't know, I think about him often actually. And because my life became jiu-jitsu, right? My life revolves around jiu-jitsu. Everything I do is jiu-jitsu based. And so, I don't know, I always think about the guy that put me on this path, you know? I always wonder what happened to him. The first time I came to Thailand was because I was headed to Vietnam. And I was living in Turkmenistan. I was a Peace Corps volunteer, and I was working in a village in Turkmenistan as an English teacher. And I was, the Peace Corps gives you 3 weeks a year for vacation, and a buddy of mine decided to go to Vietnam, you know, because Turkmenistan is right in the center of Asia. So you can fly anywhere for super cheap. And I think we got a ticket to Bangkok for $80 or something, and we flew to Bangkok, spent a few days there, then we went to Vietnam, then back to Bangkok, and then our flight got canceled back to Turkmenistan, so that flight route only happens once a week. That flight is only once a week. So the flight didn't come, it was canceled. And we had to stay in Bangkok for another week. And this was my first time to Thailand. And I thought it was so cool. I just loved it. And I was in Bangkok. We know it's just a city, you know, but it's such a cool place, so interesting. And then, then eventually I came to Phuket to visit Alex, who was one of my old students. And Phuket's very different from Bangkok. Better, I would say. Well, when I was wrestling, like in high school, and my parents, I remember it was time to apply to universities, and my parents were asking me, like, do you want to go to college? Do you want to go to university? Like, are you filling out applications? Like, what's your plan? And I said, I don't know. I said, I just want to wrestle. I want to wrestle. I don't care. I just want to wrestle the rest of my life. And they looked at me like, man, you're stupid. Like, they're like, you can't make a career out of that. Like, maybe you could go to the Olympics. Best case scenario, right? You can go to the Olympics, and then what? Not even Olympians don't make shit, for money. You could be a coach, that's what they said. You could be a coach, but that's not really even what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to wrestle, not to coach wrestlers. And so anyways, they explained to me that I need to go to college, and well, I did. And but I just loved grappling so much, And then when I found jiu-jitsu, I hadn't grappled for 3 years. And for those 3 years, I call those like the lost years. From when I was 18 to 21, I just partied. I'd go ride motorcycles in the desert, go camping, cause trouble, party some more, get in fights. I think I went to jail one time. I don't think I did. But I got, got drunk and fighting, and I went to jail. And I was like my rock bottom moment, and I came out of there the next morning. It was like the drunk tank, you just sit in the drunk tank with all the DUI guys. And I came out the next morning just thinking, like, what the fuck am I doing with myself, Like, I think I was 20 at the time, and this was about 3 months before I found jiu-jitsu, So this is May, and then I found jiu-jitsu in July, and I turned 21 in between that time. And so when I found jiu-jitsu, it was exactly what I needed, It was something for me to focus on. It was something for me to channel my energy into. It was something to keep me out of trouble, because I was lost, I was lost. I was like a lost soul. I didn't really know what I was doing, where I was going. I think I was selling cell phones in the mall. It was like my job at the time. And yeah, it was, jiu-jitsu was, it found me. Yeah, I guess you could say it found me. Like, the guy, my coach, my first coach, he opened an academy in my hometown. And actually that academy didn't even really succeed. It was too big and he was too inconsistent as a coach. And so like it had a good start and then it just kind of fizzled away and he had to close it. But by then I'd already been bitten by the bug, It was probably open for maybe 6 months, but I got a taste of it, and I couldn't let it go. So after he closed that academy, I had to figure out how to train. So I would drive an hour every day to go find a place to train. I would drive an hour over one of the most dangerous highways in the United States. It's like a super windy road with cliffs on the side and falling rocks and super dangerous. And I would speed through there every fucking day trying to drive to where I got to be to train. Then I would train, drive back home. And yeah, I was hooked, man. Nothing was going to stop me at that point. My childhood is super average. Just really the most average American childhood that you can imagine. We just grew up in a suburb in Orange County, California. It's like just a nice, both my parents are still alive, still together. One little sister, had a dog. I spent, my favorite thing to do as a child was wrestle with my friends out on the front yard, and we would just try to headlock each other, And that, when you're a kid, you don't know how to wrestle. This is what you think is winning, right? You just throw on the headlock, hold them down on the grass, and just hold them until they give up, right? Until they tap, right? And yeah, that was my favorite thing to do, is wrestle in the grass, And all my neighborhood friends would come over and we'd just scrap on the grass. And I never really liked playing sports with like balls, Like I tried soccer, baseball. I was okay. I wasn't good at them. I wasn't bad at them. I was super average, and I didn't really enjoy the team sport, because one other kid could fuck it up for everyone, And having to rely on other people to win as a team is really annoying. And I think that's why I really loved wrestling, because yeah, it's a team. You go as a team. There's team points. You can win as a team, lose as a team, but you have your individual match that you're responsible for. And I liked that. Okay, maybe the team lost, but I won my match. I did my part, and no one can say shit about that. And I always appreciated that about wrestling, the individualism. It's a team, but you need the team also, right? You can't train wrestling by yourself, just like jiu-jitsu. train jiu-jitsu alone. You can't. You need your team. You need bodies. You need people to train with. But when you're out there on the mat, you're responsible for your own match, right? You're responsible for throwing some points on the board for the team. And I've always liked that. It's a nice balance between individualism and teamwork. First MMA fight, I remember it really well, actually. It was 2001, and I had only been training for about 4 months, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, some MMA. And I just started going to the MMA training for fun. I was there for jiu-jitsu, but they had an MMA team, so I would go to the sessions because they told me that the workouts are really hard. I always liked really hard workouts. So I would just show up and just to get that workout, And but because I could wrestle, I was always able to take everyone down, mount them, hold them. I couldn't submit them, but you don't need to in MMA, right? You just punch their face a little bit. And so as a white belt, I could take all the blue belts down and I could mount them and hold them and punch them. And my coach was impressed by that, Even after just 4 months of training, he asked me, he said, "Do you want to do a fight?" And he's like, "I know the promoter. We can make sure it's a fair fight. You're not going to get screwed. You'll get a good match." And it was in Lake Havasu, Arizona, on an Indian reservation. No, that was the second fight. It was not an Indian reservation, but it was Lake Havasu, because MMA was legal in Arizona, but it wasn't legal in California. If you wanted to do it in California or any other state for that matter, I think you had to do it on an Indian reservation. So we went to Arizona. I think I got paid $300, and it was Chuck Liddell was there. Yeah, Chuck Liddell was there. They invited him, and he was in the crowd. And I fought another guy. He was 0-0. I was 0-0, and I remember it really well. I remember I threw 2 leg kicks, and then I shot on him. I think he tried to kick me, and then when I shot, took him down. Scrambled. I think I got to his back, and then I think I finished him with a rear naked choke in the first round. And I think I had all submission wins. My first 4 fights were submission wins, and then the last one was a decision loss, and that was in Hawaii. And after that, the team fell apart. I didn't quit or anything. The team literally just disintegrated because they had internal politics issues, and the coach left, and the best guys on the team split. And I never actually wanted to stop training. That was just it. The team fell apart, and then I didn't really want to go anywhere else. I didn't know where else to go. I had just been doing MMA. I wasn't, the idea of going to like a Gracie Baja Academy, for example, and training in a gi was very foreign to me. I just wanted to do Nogi and MMA. So there were some Gracie Bajas in Orange County, I remember, but I just never wanted to go there. My first coach, though, had kind of drilled it into my brain that the gi is useless and it's not cool, and like we don't want to do that. It's not practical. And he was very much a no-gi only guy, but he planted that idea in my head, and I didn't kick that idea until I was like 7 years later. I'd been doing no-gi for about 7 years, and then I was like, I'm gonna put a gi on. Let's see what this is all about. And so I put the gi on for the first time. I think it was like 2010. Yeah, and to be honest, I just did that because I was so confident in my grappling, my no-gi, and I was tired of having these arguments with people about gi or no gi. The fun little debates that it goes on today, to this day. But I just wanted to say, look, my no-gi is so good, I'm gonna put that gi on and I'm still gonna beat you. And that's why I put the gi on, just because I wanted to show them, like, I don't need these grips. I'm gonna do my no-gi techniques, and I'm still gonna win. And in a lot of cases I did. But then I went to Atos, and it was a different story. Those guys were not so easy to beat in the gi. So, yeah.
You start adding in your game?
The Atos guys changed me completely. Like, I prefer to train in a gi now. I really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm always going to be better at no gi, I think. But I enjoy training in the gi more. It's more fun, I think. It's more creative. It's just a deeper level of jiu-jitsu, more strategy, and every grip changes everything. So I just enjoy it. It's more fun. But if I need to like do a match for money, no-gi is probably what I'll do. Jiu-jitsu has taught me a lot about how to control my mind, my thoughts, And it's not just jiu-jitsu, actually, though. It's the competitions that specifically have helped me with this. And this is, I think, one of the biggest things that I gained from my coach, Andre Galvao. And, the way that your mind can slide into like a negative mindset so easily when you have a competition coming. And I think this is something that a lot of people deal with in all sports and all aspects of life, even if you're maybe you're a stand-up comedian, or you're a singer, or a pianist or something, whatever, any kind of performance where you're getting in front of people to do something. And I think people have this fear of judgment and this fear of failure. And as a grappler, you have these thoughts also. And jiu-jitsu, and specifically Andre Galvao, has taught me a lot about how to control these negative thoughts that happen so naturally. It's like, it's very much a natural occurrence, I think. And that, I don't know, I can't explain why we are like this as humans in general, but I think maybe we're surrounded by a lot of negativity in the world, and it's natural for your mind to slide into negative thought patterns. But you can proactively combat these negative thoughts and proactively have positive thoughts and think good about yourself and say nice things to yourself instead of saying, oh, I'm going to lose. I was at a local tournament just a few days ago here in Phuket. And one of the girls that was competing was sitting next to me, and she just said like, oh, I'm going to lose. And because she saw someone on her bracket that was very tough. And I said, if you think like that, you are going to lose. You're losing before the match even starts. If you have this mindset, And I did my best to talk to her a little bit, and she did really well. I know on her match, actually, she lost, but maybe she wouldn't have lost if she had a little more confidence in herself. She had a little more belief in her abilities to do well. And this is very common. This is very, very common. I think almost everyone in the world who signs up for a competition deals with this thought process. And so, yeah, jiu-jitsu has taught me a lot about how to deal with that. And it's been an interesting ride. I've done a lot of competitions. I probably have over 200 matches at Blackbelt, I think. Maybe about 150 at the adult level and maybe 50 at the master's level. And I'm a different person now than I was when I started competing. I remember standing on the edge of mats with the opponent on the other corner and feeling my heart like it's going to explode out of my chest. And I remember thinking like just really negative thoughts and worried that I'm going to get destroyed. And I remember this one time, I was so nervous for this one match. I'm not even going to say who it was, but he was a very tough competitor. I saw him break people's arms. I saw him like drop people and dislocate shoulders. And the guy was a savage, and I was going up against him, and he whooped my ass for like 7 minutes. I think he was winning 11-0 and just killing me, bro. I was just surviving. And then somehow I got a hold of his neck. He sat up on me, and I grabbed his neck, and I rolled over the top, and I rolled back to mount, and I finished the mounted guillotine. And I was like, I just couldn't believe what happened, And it was these moments like this where like, I look back on it and I'm like, oh my God, I really hyped myself up in a kind of a bad way before this match. Like I didn't believe I was going to win. I couldn't, and then I did. And then I understood that like, you don't know what's going to happen in the match, right? You can win every match. This guy was far more experienced than me. He's probably arguably he has better jiu-jitsu than me. I would say that. Maybe not now, but then for sure. At that time, this was 2015 or 14. I had just started competing, and he was just a veteran, bro. He was in like the finals of worlds, I think, around the time that I started competing. And so I had like just an eye-opening experience that like, oh, you don't know what's going to happen. Anyone can win a jiu-jitsu match. It can go any way, against any opponent. It could be someone new, someone veteran, someone who's a world champion, someone who's not, brown belt, black belt. You don't know. Anyone can get submitted at any moment. It could happen. And I think a lot of people need to understand that. It doesn't matter how good someone is. It matters who's the best in that 5 minutes or that 10-minute period. Who pulls the trigger? That's what matters. The rest of what happens outside of that that match doesn't matter. You know, anyone can have a good day or a bad day. And so, yeah, I've had a lot of mental growth over the past 7 years as a jiu-jitsu competitor. People that I looked up to in jiu-jitsu, I would say definitely Andre Galvao, one of the greatest of all time, arguably the greatest of all time, across the board, grappling, gi, nogi, ADCC, IBJJF. I'm a big fan of Rodolfo Vieira. More just that he's a nice guy. He's like a really sweet guy, but just a total badass competitor, you know? And now he's fighting UFC, which I think is so cool, but just a gi, no gi, ADCC, IBJJF, doesn't matter. Like, he's a great competitor, good top game, heavy pressure, good passing. That's like my style too, you know? That's Andre Galvao style too. Heavy, smashing, crushing top pressure. And he does great takedowns, you know, really nice takedowns. So I don't look up to a lot of people, to be honest. But I do appreciate these people. Looking up, I mean, I looked up to Andre for a while, yeah. I don't really feel like looking up is the thing that I do anymore, but I respect Rodolfo a lot, and I appreciate him. There's some others, I can't really think of any right now, but I like the monoplata. You know, I think I'm more well known for the guillotine, but they kind of go together, they work together for me. The monoplata is just a little more unique, you know, and it's a bit more difficult to defend, and it's something that not a lot of people know how to deal with. It's not a common move, and to me it could be because it's really close to a lot of other very common moves. It's very close to triangles, omoplatas, and I'm on a kind of a mission to make it a more popular move, because I think a lot of people just don't know that it's there, you know? And I think once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's kind of what happened to me when I first saw it. I tried it, and then I just couldn't unsee it. Every time I was grappling, I'd be like, oh, look, it's right there. Like, oh, they put the arm behind my back. Oh, it's there, I can do that. And the thing is, what I like about it is just there's so many options, so many transitions, so many submissions that you can do from it, but no one knows how to get out of it because no one trains to get out of it, right? People train to get out of rear naked choke, triangles, arm bars, chimeras. No one trains to escape a monoplata. No one has any idea. They don't even know where they are when they're stuck in it. They're super confused. You know, I can be just like chilling on my side with my legs around them. And if they sit up into me, they're gonna get triangled. So they don't wanna sit up into me, but they can't get out either. And it's super funny for me to watch them try to figure it out. You know, I just kind of hold people there and I let them wiggle a bit, see if they can figure out an escape. I'm always curious if they can come up with a new escape, because as far as I know, there isn't a good one. There's no good escape, which is also why I like it, you know? So yeah, I would say the monoplata. I think my style is quite unique, actually. And I never really thought of myself as a unique grappler, but a lot of my friends have been telling me lately that I am, and I guess I am. And I think that's because I had a big period through purple and brown belt where I didn't have a coach or a team. I just developed my own jiu-jitsu. I watched a lot of DVDs, watched a lot of videos. And, you know, I started working guillotines. I started working monoplatas. I started using them together to set each other up. I used a guillotine to set up monoplata. I used monoplatas to set up a guillotine. And I just kind of through repetition, trial and error, I just kind of developed this system, which is more or less what I teach at my seminars. You know, guillotines, monoplatas, and how to systemize them, and all the other options. You know, there's probably 7 or 8 submissions that are easily caught in this little system. And it's my system. And no one really taught it to me. I just kind of developed it over the past 10 years on my own through trial and error. And no one can really stop it, to be honest. Once I get on it in the system, once I get like the first grip, maybe head control, for me, it's just dominoes at that point. You know, I got your front head control. Now we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do that, and boom, now we're gonna be in a monoplata. And yeah, I think it's a very unique style that pretty much no one else has. You know, there's the only other 2 people that are very good with monoplatas are Marcelo Garcia and JT Torres. But they also do them differently. They do them differently, and they have their own thing, you know, of course. But the way that I think I have a pretty solid guillotine setup, and then the way I tie it with a monoplot, I think it's unique. Yeah, it's unique. Every time I teach a seminar, I ask anyone if they've ever seen the system or seen anything like it, and the answer is always no. Every grappler wants to be remembered as a finisher. Not every grappler is a finisher. I have a very high finishing rate, so I think I made the top 5 finishers list like 3 years in a row. I think just to be an exciting grappler is the best thing, you know, just to be someone that people enjoy watching. You know, you can be a champion competitor and just win by 2 points every match, you know, every match 2 points with like a 50-50 guard, something super boring. And maybe you're undefeated, but you might have this very boring style. Yeah, maybe it's unstoppable, but it's so boring that no one gives a fuck to watch. You know, I don't want to be that guy. I would prefer to have a mixed win-loss ratio, but be exciting, you know? Yeah, I think really just to be an exciting grappler, to be someone that people enjoy watching. I want to be someone people are afraid to fight. I want to be someone that when people have to compete against me, I want them to say like, oh, fuck, this is going to be a war, you know? It's like there's no easy rounds with me, you know, no easy matches. I go out there ready to just give everything I have, you know? I don't ever quit. I push forward constantly. And if they win, good for them. You know, I'm never angry or upset about losses. I applaud anyone who beats me, and I appreciate them and the match that they give me. But I don't want to ever give anyone an easy match. You know, I want it always to be a grinder. I want people to know that, like, oh, if they're going to go up against me, that it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. Wake up. Avocado toast, 2 cups of coffee, scrambled eggs. Then I go to training at around 10:30 in the morning. This is in San Diego. We do about 2 hours of competition training. 2 hours total, arrival to departure. Maybe it's about an hour and 15 minutes of actual sparring time. Then there's drills and warm-ups and all that. Go home, shower, eat, rest for an hour, go to the gym, lift weights for an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and then go back home, protein shake, maybe a quick snack, shower. And then depends on what I'm training for. If I'm doing a gi match, I'll do the gi classes, but if it's a no gi class, I'll go running instead. I won't, you know what I mean? Or if I'm training for no gi, I'll do the no gi classes on Tuesday, Thursdays, and then on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I'll go running. You know, so whatever. I alternate the evenings with running versus training. You don't have to be the best. You just have to do your best every day. And that's how you become the best, right? You have to do your best every day. So you got to show up every day. You got to be consistent. You got to be ready. You got to take training seriously. And this is something I struggle with when I travel around to different academies and I create training sessions for people. You know, maybe it's just a Friday night training, or you know, if I spend a few days at an academy after a seminar, you know, usually I run the training sessions, and sometimes I get very frustrated when I see the bell start the round and people are still sitting on the wall, or they're still drinking their water. They're not on the mat ready to go. And I said, well, you'll never be a champion if you're like this. You have to be ready. You only have 2 minutes to get your water and catch your breath, and then you need to be back on the mat in front of your opponent and ready to go. And it's very common for people to be super lazy and not be ready on time. And my advice to people would be ready. You know, don't be the last person to walk back out on the mat and find a partner. When the round ends, find your partner first. Find your next partner immediately. Then go drink your water. You know, things like this. You know, if you want to be a champion, you have to train like a champion. You don't become a champion first and then train like a champion after. You have to train like a champion first, and then you can become a champion maybe. Maybe. If you do everything right, you might become a champion. You can do everything right and still not be a champion. You could prepare for any match and do everything exactly the way you're supposed to do, and then something happens and you lose. It happens. Maybe the referee makes a mistake. You know, maybe you slip, maybe you make a mistake. Anything can happen. But you have to try your best every day. And it's not just like, you know, push the hardest in the training round. Doing your best is everything. It's everything. It's how you eat. It's how you sleep. It's how you exercise. It's how you weightlift. It's how you do, conditioning sessions. It has to do with everything. Really, including sleep. You have to sleep like a champion would sleep, which is 8 hours. Go to bed early, wake up at a whatever respectable time. It's easy to come into a training session and just work really hard for 2 hours. It's not easy to stay focused for 24 hours. It's not easy to stay focused on your diet, your sleep, your stretching, strength and conditioning. It's everything. It's a 24-hour job, 24 hours a day. There's something you could be doing. Are you drinking enough water? Are you taking electrolytes? Are you taking supplements? Are you eating shit? Are you not eating shit? Are you eating some shit? Not, or like, you know what I mean? Are you drinking Coca-Cola? These things matter. Khabib. Yeah, the dude's a legend. He's a legend. Such a phenomenal wrestler, And I think no one in the UFC could handle his grappling, And he has that really great low single. And I love that low single also. And actually, it was that low single was the same shot that my friend would shoot on me when I first started doing guillotines. So it would be very interesting for me to have Khabib shoot on me and to see if I could wrap him up in a guillotine or not. I think that'd be a really cool match. Yeah. I really wanted him to go to ADCC. I think ADCC invited him, and I don't. Of course, he doesn't have a reason to do it, but it would have been really cool to see him in there. Some people say there's overtraining. Some people overtrain, and the motto at our team is like, there's not overtraining. You're just under resting. You're not resting enough to match your training. So you can train hard, but you have to rest hard. So when I rest hard, I rest hard. I stay home. I don't leave my couch. I get a massage, a 2-hour massage. I eat a lot, make sure to recharge the body with calories and nutrients. But I just rest, man. Try to sleep, take naps, and, train hard, rest hard. Yeah, you got to take rest seriously. Rest is very, very important, especially when you're approaching 40. Rest is very important. So, the way I set up training is usually like 2 days very, very hard, 1 day easy, 2 days very hard, and then the weekend is for rest. And rest means rest. It doesn't mean go to the beach and go surfing. It doesn't mean go hiking. It doesn't mean go visit family. It means stay the fuck home, lay on the couch and rest. Rest.